Welcome to Focus on Scholarship. I'm Betina Gardner, Interim Dean of Libraries, and your host for today's session. Our goal at the Graduate School and the University Libraries is to bring a focus and awareness to the exciting, scholarly, and creative achievements of our academic community. Our guest today is Dr. Dan Florell, an assistant professor in the Department of Psychology at Eastern Kentucky University. Dr. Florell received his PhD in school psychology from the Illinois State University in 2001. He has been researching the prevalence and impact of cyberbullying in adolescents and in school professionals for the past few years. Welcome to our program, Dr. Florell.
Thanks for having me.
Can you please tell us about your research in cyberbullying?
Sure. Cyberbullying, the wonderful thing is it crosses a lot of thresholds as far as both adolescents and the various fields that it touches on. So, for example, when I'm looking at cyberbullying, I did a major survey of a lot of middle schoolers, and what I did is looked at things like the role of parental attachment and maybe resisting or being able to deal with things like cyberbullying. Other roles like the ability to connect with your school and how that may play a part. And then also just the prevalence rate that we see here in the central Kentucky and more rural areas, because most of the research has been done in kind of suburban, urban areas and not so much rural. And so I thought that would be a good way to tap into what is the majority of our service region being kind of more of a rural environment. And then some of the other research has branched off from that, and I've looked at issues of teachers being cyberbullied and harassed via email and things like that. And then also how accurately do teachers perceive cyberbullying going on in their school systems. And so it's, as you can tell, it's wide-ranging, which is why I like researching the topic so much. Interesting.
How is it that you did become interested in this field?
Well, I've always had an interest in technology. I had a web page back in 1994. I had something they called Gopher, which preceded the internet, was all text related, and so I've always had an interest in technology. And my original research topic had been in help seeking in adolescents and looking for problem behaviors and things. And so what happened is that morphed into an interest into bullying research, and then the cyberbullying started coming up, and I was really kind of turned on to it when an assistant principal over at the model school we have here was discussing with me some of the issues regarding bullying, and then he said, you know, I'm really seeing at the time a lot of IM or instant messaging going on and causing a lot of problems. You know, this is something that you may want to really look into. And so that started my gradual research into it, and it's been off ever since.
Great. Can you talk to us about how your research informs or impacts your teaching?
Well, if it wasn't for research, I may not be able to kind of stay on top of the field near as well. And I think the textbooks obviously give a good base, but after a while you want to freshen up the content, or you want to go ahead and tell students a little more in depth than the textbook's going to provide. And so the ability to go ahead and have looking up journal articles, kind of staying abreast of the field, is going to allow you to elaborate much more beyond what a textbook can, and of course it's more immediate. And the advantage of cyberbullying, as I was saying earlier, is it's a hugely broad field. There's lots of ways you can attack it. So my interests tend to be very broad, and so as a part of staying up to date with my research, I stay up to date with a lot of the classes that I happen to teach. So it's been a wonderful experience.
Great. Do you collaborate with your students often?
I certainly do, and I couldn't do near as much as I end up doing without them. I have kind of two levels of students that I work with. I'm a professor in the school psychology program here at the university, and we train specialist level practitioners. And so the first 2 years in the program, they're part of a research group. So I take about a third, and then some of my colleagues take the other third. And then we meet about once a week, and we have them work on various projects along the way. And then I also have a lot of undergraduates, especially upper level undergraduates, that assist me with research, you know, and so I keep a kind of a constant folder of things that could be worked on, and recently have been keeping a Word file that basically just has all my projects and what was the next step and who was working on it. And so when an undergraduate comes to me and is interested in working, I usually have some 2 or 3 projects they can select from, and they've helped me do a variety of things, from entering data, data analysis, to doing literature reviews or just looking up new articles. And so without them, there's just no way that I could keep up at the level that I do.
Great. Let's see, has your research and scholarly activities created opportunities for you to participate in other professional activities?
I would say so, but actually I'm a little bit of a contrarian in that way, in that I think my service led to my research versus the other way around. I had a couple of mentors along the way that really emphasized service, and so I got involved at a national level very early on, maybe a little too early for my career, but I've really enjoyed it, and the people that you meet there have been so important in being able to make those connections into the local schools. One of the unique aspects of my research that makes it a little more difficult is that I have to get a lot of different approvals to go work in the schools with, say, a middle school population. Unlike here at the college, where everybody's of age to consent to their research, all my students not only have to have usually the school district approve, but their parents have to, and then because I focus on adolescents, they have to approve themselves. And so there's a lot of challenges, and if I didn't have ins through a lot of the social network, kind of professional networking that I've had along the way, I doubt it would be possible. So as far as the research, it has come along, and then in addition to the connections I've made through the professional networks, that's led to a lot of talks in regards to my research. And the cyberbullying talks has taken me many, many places, and so it's been very rewarding, and I get to meet more people there too, and discuss the issues beyond just Kentucky, so it gives me another perspective on things.
Great. Who are some of your mentors, and what specific things have you learned from them?
Well, I think there's probably 2 main ones, and the first one was my main professor in graduate school. His name was Mark Swerdlick at Illinois State University, and the man seemed to be have high energy, showed no fatigue, always rushing off to one place or another. And he was the one that really first pushed me into doing some service. But he also taught me along the way that you want to have a lot of things going on at one point in time. So as far as research, we all know there's bumps along the way and obstacles that you have to overcome in research. And so it can be really frustrating if you have 1 or 2 projects going. If you have 5 projects going, what you find is you kind of have a constant state of busyness, but there's going to be delays in certain projects, but other ones are moving forward. And so it really taught me how to go ahead and kind of divide up and have always something going on, and therefore some things may languish for a while, but when you're ready to pick them up, maybe some other studies are languishing. So he was really good in trying to emphasize that, and like I said earlier, get me involved in professional service, and it really kind of served as a mentor to me in that regard. And probably the other really influential mentor was actually a professor here, Jim Batts, who retired just a few years ago. And he was also very service-oriented, as it would have, but he really struck me in the way that he solicited others' opinions about issues, and especially when you talk about research. And so what I've done with my research is really try to go out and not only have a million different ideas, but kind of bounce them off a lot of different professionals. And I've always had really good feedback. People usually get quite excited with the variety of ideas. And so sometimes I find myself getting into some research that maybe wasn't the initial focus, but it's always been rewarding. And sets up more ways to collaborate. So I would say that those are probably the 2 most significant mentors at this point.
Great. I'm going to ask one more quick question, see if we can get it in. How do you balance such a robust research agenda with teaching and family responsibilities, and what quick advice would you give new faculty coming to EKU?
Well, that's a lot of things, but I would say what you really got to do is just stay organized. Of course, not surprised, I love technology. Technology can help you with the organization, help you try to balance between the 3 of research, scholarship, teaching, and then family. The other thing that Eastern really offers that's nice, I have 2 children, and both of them attend model schools, which is just 2 blocks away from my building. So it's really rewarding there. So there's a lot of opportunities so that you're not not wasting all your time commuting, that you can actually spend it around campus, but yet still get involved in your kids' school and spend some time with the kids.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Florell.
You're welcome.
That's it for this edition of Focus on Scholarship. Please join us next time as we continue our series of webcasts celebrating the scholarly and creative achievements of the faculty and staff at Eastern Kentucky University.